Before we begin, I want you to think about something for a moment. Have you ever been stuck in a situation so awkward, so unexpected, that all you could think about was getting out of it as fast as possible? But somehow, that exact moment ended up meaning more than you ever imagined? If you enjoy real, emotional, and relatable stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here we don't just tell stories, we explore the moments that quietly shape our lives. Now, let me tell you what happened. The rain was pouring hard that evening. Not the soft kind you can ignore, but the kind that fills the air with a constant rhythm. Heavy drops tapping against rooftops, windows, and pavement, turning the entire street into a shimmering blur of light and reflection. We had just finished dinner at my sister-in-law's house across town. It was supposed to be a short visit, just a quick meal and a little conversation. But like always, one conversation turned into another. Someone brought up an old memory. Someone else added a story. And before we realized it, time had slipped away. By the time we finally stepped outside, the night felt completely different. The air had turned colder. The roads were slick. And the rain hadn't slowed down at all. David pressed the key fob, and the car responded with that familiar chirp, barely cutting through the sound of the rain. Tonight, we hadn't taken the SUV. Instead, we came in his old sedan. Reliable, yes. But spacious? Not even close. And now, we had 5 people trying to fit inside. David, me, our daughter Lindsay, his son Ethan, and Ethan's friend Zach. I told you we should have brought the bigger car, I muttered, brushing rain off my sleeves. David laughed as he opened the driver's door. You said this one gets better mileage. I gave him a look. I didn't think we'd be cramming 5 people into it. We all stood there for a moment, staring at the car like it might magically grow bigger. It didn't. Lindsay and Zach had already climbed into the back seat, squeezing in like it was some kind of game. They were pressed shoulder to shoulder, laughing at how ridiculous it already felt. The front passenger seat was completely taken over by groceries and leftovers from dinner. At the time, it seemed like a smart idea. Now it felt like a mistake. That leaves you and Ethan, David said, glancing between us. I leaned slightly to look inside. There's no space, I said. And I meant it. I can sit on someone's lap, Lindsay offered casually. No, I said immediately, my voice firmer than I expected. That's not safe. Zach laughed awkwardly. I mean, I could ride in the trunk. I've seen people do that online. David didn't even hesitate. Absolutely not. And then silence. Rain filled the space between us. David looked at me, then at Ethan, then back at me again. Well, he said slowly, Ethan's tall enough. Maybe you two can share the seat. It's just a short drive. I raised an eyebrow. A short drive never stays short. But the rain was getting heavier, and standing there wasn't an option anymore. I let out a quiet sigh. Okay, just this once. Ethan looked a little surprised. Are you sure? He asked. Let's just get home, I replied. I climbed into the car carefully, trying not to make things more awkward than they already were. Ethan immediately shifted, making space for me without saying much. Polite, respectful, a little distant, just like he'd always been. Sorry, I muttered. It's okay, he replied quietly. The car started moving, and almost instantly, I could feel how cramped everything was. Every small bump in the road made me shift slightly, and every time I moved, I apologized again and again. Inside the car, it was warm. The heater hummed steadily, and the contrast between the warmth inside and the cold rain outside caused the windows to fog up almost immediately. David started talking, trying to lighten the mood. Lindsay and Zach were laughing about a movie they had watched, their voices filling the car with an easy, casual energy. I tried to focus on that. Tried to ignore how strange everything felt. You okay? I asked Ethan quietly. He nodded. Yeah. Just trying to get comfortable. I couldn't help but smile slightly. Same here. Minutes passed. Then more minutes. What was supposed to be a quick drive turned into something longer. Traffic had been rerouted because of construction, and we found ourselves moving slowly down unfamiliar streets. David sighed. Looks like we're taking the scenic route. Zach laughed. This looks like something out of a horror movie. Lindsay groaned. Stop, Now you're making it worse. But somewhere during that long, uncomfortable ride, something shifted. Ethan relaxed a little. Not completely, but enough. You don't have to worry about space, he said quietly. It's fine. There was something in his voice. Not just politeness, but kindness. Unexpected. I glanced at him. Thanks, I said softly. A few moments passed in silence before he spoke again. I know I've kept some distance, he admitted. That caught me off guard. I guess. I didn't want things to feel awkward. I turned slightly toward him. They don't have to be, I said gently. I know this whole situation blending families. It's not easy. He looked at me then. Really looked at me. Not just out of politeness, but with honesty. Thanks, he said. That actually means a lot. And in that moment, something changed. Not in a dramatic way. Not all at once. But enough. Enough to feel it. When we finally pulled into the driveway, the rain had softened into a light drizzle. David turned around slightly. Everyone still alive back there? Lindsay laughed. Barely. We all stepped out of the car, stretching, laughing, shaking off the awkwardness of the ride. But something about it stayed with me. Later that night, I saw Ethan in the hallway. He paused for a second. Hey, thanks for keeping it simple tonight. I smiled. You're welcome. He gave a small grin and walked on. It wasn't something you could plan. It wasn't perfect. And it definitely wasn't comfortable. But sometimes, those are the moments that matter the most. Because life doesn't wait for perfect situations. It puts you in unexpected ones. And quietly asks, can you find connection here? And that night, in a cramped car, in the middle of the rain, we did. If this story felt real to you, if it reminded you of a moment where something awkward turned into something meaningful, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because the most powerful stories in life are often the ones we never planned.